For stopping by today. I'm going to walk you through some slides and go over this overall concept of getting data into a Google or Outlook calendar. This particular topic and series is on the NFL 2025 schedule, and we're just going to take it kind of step at a time, week to week. The ultimate goal is to load all the NFL data into the AWS Calendar Invite Server, then display it on an upcoming page. So a customer could come by and select a calendar invite and click one button and get the calendar invite while we track the calendar invite data. So that said, let's just go to a full screen. So first step is kind of walking you through how to get a trick deployed quickly, and that is the hack would be getting the pre-baked calendar invite data from fixturedownload.com. If you go there, they have the iCal files all prepared for global teams. In particular, today I'm just reviewing AZ Cardinals. So we're starting with the AZ Cardinals iCal file. We're going to go ahead and grab the particular file for iCal. So as you walk through that, step one, you're going to download it. And after you download the file here, download the iCal, you're going to upload that into your Google Calendar. It's that simple. So step one, get the game data for the team. It's prepared already for ICS, and that team schedule for the Cardinals is 17. There's 17 games to go get per team times 32 teams. We're just going to take it a step at a time. So step two is the identification of the file itself. It's going to come in a download in your browser. It's going to look like something like this on the Mac when you go to your download button on the browser. And you're going to save it to a folder on your Mac or PC. And that sets you up for step three, which is staging settings in your Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar to actually ingest, import the ICS file. With Google, it's down here. You can see my arrow, and it's very simple to click on the settings and scroll down and import the file itself. It will open up an interface here. Prior to getting to open up the interface, this discussion point on step four, which is optional, is the ability to go set up filters in your calendar. And essentially the concept is on your personal or business calendar to create a new calendar and name it specific for the game. So you can see over here on the left, I named one Arizona Cardinals. And when I import any data in, which is 17 times 32 games, they'll all show up here pre-filtered in my Google or Outlook calendar. And so that way there I can turn them on and off and look at game data. It's a kind of another trick or hack, if you will, when you're starting to work with a lot of data on a personal calendar or business calendar. So the optional piece here is you create game calendars for NBA, NFL, MLB under one Gmail account. Why? Allows you to trigger or toggle game data on your personal calendar. And as I spoke, we're going to have 32 teams here. So the filterization of the teams themselves versus the NBA or the MLB is a great hack for somebody working with thousands of events of data off of one Gmail calendar. It's actually quite simple. It's not to be overwhelmed. That data is provided for you at fixturedownload.com, as I said, and that's a nice way to import the ICS files for ingest. So once you load your game data in, you're going to click the import export. You're going to go to Cardinals, in this case here as an example, and then I'm going to import this specific file for the Cardinals into the AZ calendar filtered calendar I built or created on my personal calendar. Step five, you're going to select it. And what happens is it loads into your calendar. And once it's loaded into your calendar, you can see another one here. All this data here is loaded into the calendar just with one click. As I go back, what I'm walking you through are once it's uploaded into a filtered calendar, you can send those calendar events to the AWS Calendar Invite Server by using the create command, create@calendarsnack.com. When you use this command, we actually ingest the data, and then we help build out this upcoming landing page in a couple clicks. So you're going to do that times 17. It's really quick. It's safe and easy to use. You're just going to use this create@calendarsnack.com in the individual games. You're going to save it, and then you'll get an auto bot email saying the calendar information's been ingested into AWS Calendar Invite Server, and you'll get a notification called the calendar snack. That said, this is how it works in detail. I use the create command. It comes off these two games here. They're wired map here. I got round 1, round 2, Cardinals, Saints versus the Cardinals versus the Panthers. Games 1 and 2 off the start of September's NFL 2025. They are sent to the email box, and what we do here in the email box is we disassemble the calendar invite when it's new. If you were to update any of the information or cancel it, we do that too. We update the information off of here, so it shows up in the AWS Calendar Invite Server. I won't get into too many details right now. We're going to keep moving through it. We do have 9 APIs for developers to work with. What I'm working with today is the Calendar Snack application, which we built, which comes free when you buy the AWS Calendar Invite Server. So as I walk through this, you'll see that essentially everything off of Amanda's calendar is mapped to this AWS server account she's working with through the Calendar Snap application. So how we got here was these two APIs were pulled to display this information out of the Calendar Invite Server itself through the Calendar Snack app. And then the API gateway is used and deployed when you download the AWS Calendar Invite Server. So that's the display part of it. So you've ingested it. They can be new. You can send thousands of events in here. They will get displayed over here in the Calendar Snack app, talking to the AWS Calendar Invite Server. And what that gives you the ability to do is send calendar invites on AWS Calendar Invite Server for embedded and or bulk calendar invite sending. And that's really the good stuff. So as we dive deeper into this, you'll see that I map my calendar here, Amanda's, to this game schedule. And this game schedule here popped up, and you'll see that in particular, it is auto-generated using the calendar client. So this data got ingested. I'm talking to it with an app. And when a customer picks out a game in the game schedule and clicks one button, they get a calendar invitation. So the details of that are here. What we're doing is using the single calendar invite send API. When they click this button, this is the game that's selected. He or she who puts their email address up here, they insert it in there. And essentially what happens is a calendar invite is sent, and then we track that data in the event organizer dashboard. And then I'm showing the display of API 2 and 3, which are display data APIs for the organizer itself that give you nice, rich, granulated detail of what's going on with these particular calendar events when we collect all the calendar receipt data. So here's what happens when something happens called an update. So the use case is you want to change the data in the AWS Calendar Invite Server. We have a very simple, repeatable way to do that for both update and cancel. So the organizer just goes into the original calendar invite that was sent using the create a calendar snack command. This one here is an example, New Orleans Saints versus Arizona Cardinals. The organizer wanted to add a change to the start time to 11:15 from 11 a.m. and wanted to add a promotion for a free hot dog. So what that person did, in this case here, Amanda, she went and actually changed this information in the calendar. She saved it, and then we reprocessed that data, and that data showed back up on the display APIs here in the upcoming events. And also push, because there was a calendar invite received by somebody else downstream, it pushed the data downstream and actually enabled an automatic update to the calendar invite that was sent off the upcoming landing page. So this scenario here is a very kind of a detailed one. And what happens over here is we recollect any data off a new calendar invite that's been updated through this thing we've built here called a Lambda listener. We pick up the calendar receipts and actually count them up again here in the data repository and store those in S3. So that said, I'm not going to get too much into this. I just walked through some of this, create, update, and delete, how we communicate with the SES box itself. We process the data by disassembling the calendar invite. When the API is called to send the calendar invite, we reassemble it. Those use cases are predominantly for calendar invite email list or from a calendar invite from an embedded web page. those two use cases around transactional or embedded web calendars for marketing. So transactional marketing calendar invites or embedded web calendar invites for sporting or ticketing events. And then we send out the calendar invite that's summoned out of the database with the UID, and we send it out and then we track it. So what happens here in the calendar store logic under new and update is that information, as I spoke about, if it is brand new, we store that data in a database and assign a UID. That data is stored and can be retrieved using the API, which is an endpoint that matches the email to the UID and reassembles the calendar invite for sending on the calendar invite server. So we store the information first. If an update occurs without sending it, what we do is actually save it. Actually, the organizer saves it, and it is resent to the SES mailbox. So here, if in fact the calendar invite has not gone through this whole process to a list or been used in an embedded upcoming web page, we still actually update the calendar invite in the database. So you can test and score your calendar invite before sending it out as far as a test sequence. You can also delete it. The important point is we actually have a calendar store logic for new and update. So that means the iterative part of update works by we insert a new UID, an incremental one, if you will, and we actually check the state of that. And when an update occurs, an update can actually be unlimited. So you can change this multiple times on your Google or Outlook calendar client, and we'll store it in here and do the updates incrementally. Now, when you call the API to actually send out the calendar invite itself, we match the email to the UID and we reassemble it from here, this workflow lambdas that we've built, and we assemble the components of the new calendar invite or an updated calendar invite, and we send them using the AWS multi-part API. And then we request the receipts from any customers that have received a calendar invite downstream, which we track. And we track those back up through here, and we collect that data, and that's what produces the rich reports. Now, as I spoke about, if the calendar invite is updated by the organizer and was already sent, then we send an updated calendar invite match for that UID to the customer automatically. By example, if an organizer was to update a calendar invite due to weather, emergency, promotion changes, date and time, and/or location more than once, and an updated calendar invite would be sent out automatically. So this is an iterative process. If you change it up here and customers downstream already received it off a embedded upcoming landing page or a bulk run where you send out a big bulk list of calendar invites to an email list, then we're going to go ahead and automatically update these as the organizer changes them over here. And the calendar sending logic for a calendar that is been a calendar invite that has been canceled, happens over here. So if you delete it, we actually go through a cancel command and we automatically determine if it's already been sent. We're going to send out the canceled calendar invite matched to the UID to the customers who have said yes or maybe. So this is a very elaborate process we've been talking about and working on for a number of years. I'll recap it over here in this corner. The calendar client of the organizer can create, update, and delete data in the AWS Calendar Invite Server until the event is over using the email drop-off concept. Behind the AWS SES mailbox lies the logic and workflow of the AWS Calendar Invite Server, which utilizes Lambdas, SES, SNS, SQS, Dynamo, S3, and the API gateway. This solution comes with a front-end app for domain and organizer users, or you can build your own app using our bundled APIs. So that's the gestation of the product. This AWS Calendar Invite Server here, upper right-hand corner where my mouse is, if you're following with me, can be downloaded and configured in your AWS account in under 1 hour. If you want documentation, we do have a nice GitHub wiki here. The total cost for sending a calendar invite on AWS can be seen on our deep dive. We did a deep dive posting at calenderinvite.com, which discusses the overall cost analysis part of this or analysis on sending 52 million calendar invites a year. We did a deep dive, and we believe that's pretty close, within a couple percentile of sending a whole bunch of calendar invites on AWS SES and AWS Tech Stack. This supports where we're moving toward, which is the ability to send calendar invites at scale with AI agents. So currently where we're at, though, with the tech stack is we do two things quite well. I already walked you through this process and how data gets in the AWS Calendar Invite Server. You talk to the APIs here, the API gateway. Those APIs are building two primary use cases for us in our sample application called the Calendar Snack app, which I'm demonstrating today with these screenshots. They are the embedded calendar invites, one-click sending. So we basically pull all events, all upcoming events for the organizer itself out of the database, and we display them in a nice upcoming events page, which you can build on the fly. These only take a few minutes. In addition to, you can pull up a bulk sending list of for sending calendar invites, and you can select one. Once you select one, you actually send out a batch send, and then we collect all the analytics from all the channels. So two use cases: embedded calendar invites for one-click sending, and then sending calendar invites to an uploaded email list, or using a API like AWS Pinpoint to talk to and actually send out big batch runs. So in particular, as I drill down into it, these are larger and easier to understand. Someone puts their email address in up here. They click these buttons. They get the calendar invites, and then we track them over here. The other one we do is bulk list sending of calendar invites, where you upload a list into the browser. We allow up to 100 in the test application. That gives you a real nice sampling of how our API is built with industrial strength, and how we send out and queue everything back with the SES account we've built and all the Lambda infrastructure with SES and SQS. Now, the important thing is we gather all the calendar receipt data, because we send out real calendar receipts and request the receipts, and that receipt data is granulated here in these really detailed deep dives on the data itself from all the various channels. So when I talk about a channel, it's bulk versus landing page, or you can actually take this data here and actually embed the calendar invite into something like a MailChimp, which I'm not going to talk to about today. So here's the API in action. The API is called when someone puts their email address in. They click Get the Invite. That calls the API itself, and we reconstruct the calendar invite on the fly with our tech stack. We send out the calendar invites, and then we track them back here. That data is displayed with these two different APIs here. And as I get through it, same with the bulk engine. The bulk engine basically uses the same API endpoint. It takes the data from a particular game, we match it to the email addresses here, and then basically that UID is reconstructed on the fly out of the database, and then we reconstruct the specifics of that game calendar invite, and then we put it into AWS SES raw API, reconstruct it, and send it out. We send it out by just giving a simple command yes, and it does a small batch run up to 100. So you can see how systematically it'd work for tens of thousands to send per about every 5 minutes or so when you start queuing the big batches. That data here is collected over here, as I spoke about, and we're going to basically collect all the data for yes, no, or maybe here in these consoles. So as I get a chance to wrap up here, I talked about how our Lambda listener over here requests the calendar receipts from here. That data goes back up the pipeline through the API gateway, and then we collect that information back here with the specific UIDs, and then we parse those in particular. And then when you parse those particular, if you look at the data themselves, it actually is inserted into S3 bucket, and that's where you come up with that high definition data for the dashboards on a per UID event. We can actually track the individuals which were sent to, but also we check the Lambda listener, which we've built, for calendar receipts. So once the calendar receipts are sent back downstream from customers from the upcoming events or bulk list sending, we gather that long term, and that provides you a nice overall archive of data for the calendar invites. So that's it. Thanks for stopping by today. It's a rather long one, but happy I got it done with. And again, thanks for stopping by.